Mr. Mims, a word?
Yes. Be careful.
Excuse me.
Yeah?
Would you have...
I heard some of the other men talking about them, but I don't ask too many questions. Seems to me they just a bunch of angry and I admit I feel sorry for them.
You're not worried about Steam Tech putting you out of a job?
Nah. I think them Redites are just making a big fuss over nothing.
Thank you, Gerard. I appreciate the information.
Not a problem, boss.
Keep up the good work, Mr.
No use. No. She's been.
May I ask you...
Of course!
With all these promises of technological advancement, have the Redites given you any trouble?
Oh, those tech-fearing dolts. Yes, I'm sorry to say that we've gotten threats from them. They have yet to carry any out, which is...
How so?
Groups like that are all bluster and no backbone.
I've seen some evidence to the contrary.
Is that right? Well, we've seen little beyond threatening letters, and I intend to make sure it stays that way.
You have any of these letters I might have a look at?
Yes, I have one. I'll give it to you before you leave.
Thank you.
Happy to have... Here's that letter you were asking about.
Now that's interesting. Whoever wrote this letter signed it with initials. They can't have been so stupid as to...
Chief Snake,
Yes,
have you got any information on
the Redites? That ridiculous gang of... What's your interest in them?
A witness is refusing to speak with me unless I can figure out who sabotaged his iron mill.
I see. All I can offer is a list of names of known Redites along with their last known whereabouts. But I remind you that you only have until tomorrow afternoon before this indulgence expires, and I throw you in jail. This seems like a waste of time.
That's my decision to make.
Very well. I'll give you the list when you're ready to leave.
I need to get back to my investigation.
Yes. Time is not on your side, Fordham. Here you are. This is...
Hello.
Probably best to leave. Right. I just hope up...
I'm sure. Now, let's...
Peyton Ferguson. The initials match those on the...
I'd say it's our best bet.
I think we can rule out Mr. Sullivan as a suspect. Unless Mr. McKee has escaped from prison, which I highly doubt. Paris Wilson. Those initials don't match the ones on the letter. I don't think... If dead men could cause explosions, let's just say... Lucian Donaldson. Those initials don't...
Well, well. Who's this lovely specimen?
Allow me to introduce Peyton Ferguson, known Redite and prime suspect in a sabotage at the Thorbomb Ironworks. I picked him up and brought him straight to you.
Ooh, a saboteur. Just leave him to me and I'll make him feel right at home.
Please find the Justice Killer soon, Miles. Being Giles' prisoner is not my idea of a good time.
Right. I'll leave you to it then. Mr. Mims, a word?
Yes.
I found the person responsible for sabotaging your iron mill.
Oh, yeah?
His name is Peyton Ferguson. He's currently at the Bow Street Jail.
Hey, not bad. I owe you one, Detective.
He certainly does.
What can you tell me about Hannibal Kirkland?
Good worker. Mostly kept to himself. Real shame what happened to him.
Do you know if anyone here disliked Kirkland?
Enough to want him dead? Nah. There's the occasional scrap, but everyone around here gets along for the most part. Like I said, he mostly kept to himself. Head down, didn't bother nobody.
Do you know what he did outside of work?
No idea. I only ever saw him here.
You said Kirkland was a good worker?
One of my best. I knew something was up when he didn't show up for a couple of days. Don't think he'd ever missed work before.
Did he have any personal effects he kept here, or an area where he worked?
He had a cabinet downstairs in the workers' changing area, just like everyone else. You can go take a look if you want, but I don't think the police found anything. Kirkland's cabinet is the third one from the left.
I'll be going now.
Be careful on your way out.
At least having a heater down here manages to keep things warm. I remember the changing rooms at the police station were always ice cold. Just another unmarked storage cabinet. At least having a... Sounds like there's someone in there. If you weren't so bashful, I'd suggest joining in. You could certainly use it. Sounds like there's someone in there. At least having a heater down here manages to keep things warm. I remember... Empty. That's disappointing.
Not completely empty. There's something at the bottom here.
It seems our friend Hannibal had a few extracurricular activities after all.
Gilded Lily, huh? That's a bit suspicious.
Who knew such a pretty flower could cause such an inconvenience? The answer to that question is me, in case you were wondering. Flowers bring nothing but trouble. Trouble and snot.
That's enough, Bill. We need to get a move on.
He seems rather upset over the current circumstances.
Well, hello there, handsome. Welcome to the Gilded Lily. Come over here and tell me what kind of pleasure it is you're looking for.
I'm afraid I'm here for business, not pleasure.
Oh, well, that's just a shame, isn't it?
I'm Miles Fordham, private investigator. And you are?
You can call me Serafina. I'm in charge of this establishment.
You won't mind if I take a look around or ask you some questions?
As long as you keep to the front room, you can do whatever you like. Beyond that, you're gonna have to pay.
Maybe it's best if you leave this part out when you tell Adelaide about the case later.
Of course you...
Do you know anything about the Justice Killer?
I'm afraid not, dear. I don't normally associate with killers.
Are you sure you don't know anything? He's the reason I'm here.
Well, I can assure you I know nothing about your murderer. If the trail has led you here, it's surely just coincidence.
Yeah, she seems awfully certain of that. It's a good thing we don't believe in coincidences.
Did you have a man named Hannibal Kirkland as a client?
I make it my practice not to learn the names of any customers here, Mr. Fordham. I hate to disappoint anyone who comes through those doors, but discretion is paramount in this business.
Well, at least you know you can trust these women with your secrets.
Do you by chance have a girl named Ruby in your service?
Ruby? Yes, she's one of our newest girls. She's not in any sort of trouble, is she?
Not at all. I merely wanted to speak with her.
Well, she should be in the dressing room. If you go through the rear door and follow the hallway down, it's the last door on the left.
I see. Thank you. Did you know Percival McDonough?
The politician? I knew who he was, but never met him personally.
He was seeing Ruby, wasn't he?
Not regularly, no. In fact, his first and only visit with her was yesterday.
Were you aware that he was murdered shortly after that?
I had no idea. How terrible.
Yes, it is terrible. This means she's lost a potential repeat customer.
This is a lovely establishment you have, and such a nice name, too.
Thank you, my dear. It wasn't always called the Gilded Lily, though. We were formerly known as La Maison de Tolérance.
What inspired the name change?
That's a bit of a long story. Not worth getting into.
How long have you been operating?
Going on 25 years. Business has been good. There's a reason this is the world's oldest profession, you know.
So, how did you get into this business?
Like many of the other girls, it was the best of some bad options. I had no interest in being beholden to a husband. I may be a fallen woman, but better to fly and fall than to have your wings clipped.
Do you enjoy the work?
It's a job like any other, Mr. Fordham. There are good days and there are bad days. but my girls are my family. We take care of each other. I couldn't ask for anything better.
Thank you for your time.
Of course, my dear.
Looks nervous. Wonder if this... I'm not too familiar with places like this, but I believe...
Oh, hello. Did Serafina send you back here for me?
Yes, but not for the usual reasons. I'm a private investigator. My name is Miles Fordham. Ruby, I presume?
Yes, that's right. What do you need from me?
Just some information.
Well, I'll do my best.
So, Ruby,
Yes?
have you heard of the Justice Killer?
No, I don't believe so.
He's a serial murderer who's killed 5 victims, mostly men from Chumley.
Oh dear. That sounds dreadful. Is that what you're investigating?
It is. Do you know anyone who might have some information about him?
I don't. Sorry I can't be more help.
Did you ever have a client named Hannibal Kirkland?
No, that name doesn't sound familiar. Sorry.
Do you know Ennis Bowditch?
Bowditch? Didn't think I'd be hearing that name again.
As I understand it, he was seeing your friend, the serving girl at the ruined coffee house.
Yeah, that's right. Annabelle. She broke things off with him a while ago, though.
So she said. Did you ever know him to be violent?
Violent? The bastard nearly beat Annabelle's brains in once. Why do you think she chucked him?
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
At least she had the good sense to get rid of him.
Perhaps we should go confirm this newly discovered fact with Annabelle.
Did you ever meet a man named Burley Cause?
No, I never met him, but one of the other girls had him as a client. I remember because she was laughing about his name. He wasn't very burly, if you get my meaning.
Right. Are you familiar with Reggie Willingham?
Oh, him? He had to be banned from here.
Really? What happened?
He got way too rough with one of the girls. She ended up shy a few teeth.
Dear Lord.
Yeah, apparently he wasn't too fond of boundaries. Good riddance to him, I say.
Were you aware that Mr. Willingham was murdered?
What? Oh, well, now I feel terrible for saying good riddance. I meant...
I think I know what you meant, Ruby. It's fine.
Is it me, or is there a pattern starting to emerge here?
You met recently with Percival McDonough, is that right?
How did you know that? I thought he was meant to keep those sorts of things private.
He had your name written down in his calendar.
And you found me here based on that?
Well, I am a detective.
Suppose that's true. Anyway, yes. I only met him the one time. There wasn't anything remarkable about him. After we finished, he got all emotional about his wife, but I could hardly understand what he was saying. I hate it when they cry afterwards.
How long have you been in this business?
Only a few months now. Used to work at a kitchen, but then they brought in some of those new automated machines.
Ah, a sadly familiar story.
At least this profession isn't in any danger of being made obsolete by steam tech. Cold steel can never replace a warm touch.
Let's just hope that's true.
I'll just leave you to it then.
Thanks, love.
Lily, 1809 to 1843. I wonder what happened to her. That's a nice locket for being such a cheap piece of jewelry. No lilies? Seems like a missed opportunity. Damn. No lilies? Cut down in her prime. I can relate. That's a nice locket for being such a cheap... No lilies? I'm guessing this is where most of the girls keep their personal belongings. Doesn't seem to offer much in the way of privacy.
So, Ruby,
Yes?
that's a rather nice portrait. Who's the subject?
Oh, that's Lily. Before my time. Serafina knows loads about her. Even changed the name of this place in her honor. You might try asking her if you want to know more.
I'll just leave you to it then.
Thanks, love.
May I ask you a few questions, Serafina?
Of course you may, but I can't guarantee the answers will be free.
Could you tell me about the young lady in the portrait hanging in the back room?
Ah, that's Lily Peterson. She was a wonderful woman and a great friend.
What happened to her?
It's a rather tragic story, Mr. Fordham. I'd rather not go into too much detail. The short version is this. She was with a client who got very carried away. She was able to defend herself enough to mortally wound the bastard, but the damage had already been done. The girls and I decided among us that we would rename this establishment in her honor. Some days it's still hard to believe she's gone. I haven't even been able to get rid of her box of things.
I'm very sorry for your loss, Serafina.
Thank you, dear. It was especially awful given Lily's past. Her sister died at the hands of her own husband some 16 years before. Some people just can't escape tragedy, no matter how far they run.
Huh. Something tells me these deaths are significant. It might be a good idea to learn as much as we can about Lily Peterson.
Thank you for your time.
Of course, my dear.
We've exhausted her knowledge for now.
So, Ruby.
Yeah.
Serafina told me that Lily's possessions are still here. Do you know where they're kept?
Yeah, in that cabinet over there. Lily had a special place in Serafina's heart. I don't think she has the nerve to get rid of this stuff yet.
Do you think I could take a look through it?
Oh,
Serafina never has to know. I promise I'll only look, not touch.
if I had a crown for every time I'd heard that. But, alright. As long as you keep your word and don't take anything from the box, I'll let you have a look. I'll get it for you after.
I'll just leave you to it then.
Thanks, love. There you go. All yours for the browsing.
One of 3 buttons with an engraved lily on it. I wonder if they're just decorative or if they have some other purpose. These don't look too valuable. A cheap ring. Must have had sentimental value because otherwise there'd be no point in keeping it. Nice scarf, impressively clean too. Lily clearly took care of her things. Let's see what we have in here. Well now, I think we just found ourselves a bonanza.
So, Ruby,
Yes?
I found this letter inside a secret compartment in the box belonging to Lily. Do you know anything about it?
I thought we agreed you wouldn't take anything from there.
This is a special case. This letter's from Lily's nephew, the Justice Killer.
Oh, I see. Look, I've only been here a short time. I don't know anything about Lily or any killers or anything, I swear.
You know, I think she's telling the truth.
I'll just leave you to it then.
Thanks, love.
May I ask you a few questions, Serafina?
Of course you.
Serafina, what can you tell me about Lily's nephew?
Her nephew? I didn't know she had a nephew. Lily didn't talk much about her family, as you can probably imagine.
You're not lying to me, are you?
I have nothing to hide from you.
Except maybe the truth. But I don't think we have what we need to make her talk. If there even is anything that would make her talk.
Thank you for your time.
Of course, my dear.
Begging your pardon, miss.
How can I help you, sir?
I spoke with your friend Ruby. She told me something quite disturbing.
What was that?
She said that Ennis had fits of violence, and that the reason you ended your relationship was because he hit you.
Why would she tell you that? That was my secret to tell, not hers. I thought we were friends.
It's obvious she cares about you and was worried about your well-being.
Well, it hardly matters now Ennis is dead, does it?
But is it true? Did he raise his hand to you?
Yes. It is true. As I said before, something changed in him. I have no idea what, but I had to get away.
I see. Thank you for your honesty. I'm sorry you had to experience what you did. I'll let you get back to work.
Thank you, sir.
Chief, do you recall a murder involving a woman named Lily Peterson about a year ago?
Lily Peterson? Yes, that name does sound familiar. Of course, the prostitute murder. That wasn't one of yours, was it?
No, it wasn't. Do you remember?
As I recall, the woman was beaten severely by one of her clients, who escaped and was never found. She died a few days later in the hospital. How is this of any relevance exactly?
That's what I'm trying to piece together. Did you know that Lily Peterson had a sister who was killed some 16 years ago?
I didn't. Are you suggesting that's related?
I think it is. Would you be able to get me the case file?
What was the victim's name?
That's what I'm trying to find out.
That might be a bit more difficult, unless you can...
I'll try my best.
Very well. What year did you...
It was 16 years ago, so 1828.
Right. And who was the detective assigned to the case?
It was Lester Barnett.
Right. He was quite active in those. And what was the victim's official cause of death?
It was strangulation.
All right. Ah, yes. Here we are. This should be a match. Have a look.
So we have our killer's last name and possible first name, assuming he's the same man Linda Walker talked about. Perhaps it's time to ask about him at the docks.
You again? What do you need?
A few more questions. Do you know a man named Samuel Collins?
Yes, I do. He's one of my workers.
Is he working today?
No, it's his day off. Why do you ask?
I'm very interested in speaking with him. Could you tell me where I can find him?
I don't just give out information on my men to strangers. What reason do you have for wanting to speak with him?
I believe he may be involved in some serious crimes.
Is that right? And what are these serious crimes exactly?
I believe Samuel's the justice killer.
What? That's absolutely preposterous. You've got quite some imagination, sir. And here I thought you were serious.
About Samuel Collins?
Yes? What a...
I believe he's stealing money from you and your business.
What? Do you... Stop wasting...
About Samuel...
Yes?
I believe he stole from one of your customers.
What? From who?
The Hanbrook Flower Shop. He stole several orders of Easter lilies.
The Hanbrook Flower Shop? They're not one of my customers. I only sell to wholesalers.
A minor detail. The point remains that your man's a burglar.
That's quite a serious claim. What proof do you have?
You can hear it straight from the man who works at the shop that was burgled.
Well, where is he then?
Wait here just a moment. Excuse me, Mr. Hastings?
What is it, Detective? As I said, I'm rather busy.
I was wondering if you might help me with something. Could you please tell the shipping manager over there about the burglaries at your flower shop?
Certainly.
Go ahead, Mr. Hastings.
Right. It all started around 5 months ago. And he didn't come around again after that night.
Thank you, Mr. Hastings. That'll do. Now are you convinced?
Fine. I hate to lose two of my men and Samuel lives in Chumley, at 210 Abattoir Row.
Thank you, sir. You may have just saved several lives.
But I'm going to have to spend several crowns in order to get things back to normal. Now, if you'll excuse me...
Samuel Collins?
Yes?
I'm Terrence Shackley from the Labor Department. I wanted to ask you some questions about your employer at the docks.
Oh, of course. Please come in. I'm sorry, what did you say your name was?
Terrence Shackley? But it's not my real name. I just used it to get into your apartment. I believe you did something similar at the Houses of Parliament with Mr. McDonough.
So, you're Fordham, the one who was snooping around at the Gilded Lily.
Indeed. We meet again, Mr. Collins.
Of course. The rooftop. I'm sorry about what happened to your partner. It wasn't my intent for him to die.
Oh, he's sorry, is he? Is that supposed to make things better?
I suppose this encounter was inevitable. But I admit I didn't think it would be this soon. So, you're here to arrest me.
Assumptions are like soufflés. Making them seems like a good idea, but they soon prove to be more trouble than they're worth.
Not to mention they're puffed up with air and deflate when you poke them.
So you're not planning to arrest me? That makes sense.
Arresting you wouldn't be proper justice. You've taken so many lives.
Oh, please. Every one of those men deserved what they got.
Nobody deserves to be shot in the head.
I'm sure your feeling would change if your wife was violated. Surprised I know about her? After our first encounter, I did my own investigation. I had to know what kind of man you were. You were innocent of any wrongdoing. Otherwise, we would have met much sooner.
I I understand your reasons, but that doesn't mean your actions were justified. You need to pay for your crimes, one way or another.
My crimes? What about theirs? If not for me, they would have gotten away with them.
There are other ways of upholding justice, Collins. Ways that don't involve mass murder.
The system is broken. Criminals get away all the time, you know that.
Only too well.
But you comprehend my situation. You understand my reasons for doing what I do.
Understanding is not the same as approval.
But it is the first step.
Is this bastard really suggesting what I think he is?
All I ask is that you allow me to continue my work in peace.
You asked me to look the other way once before, and I refused.
Yes, and it cost your partner's life.
Well, this time it's just you and me, and I'm still not going to let you off. You're out of your mind if you think I'm going to just let you keep killing.
Damn right, Miles. This has to end.
Then you leave me no choice.
Fordham, are you all right?
Yes, I'm fine. Thank God you're a better shot than I was.
So, this is our justice killer?
That's right.
I suppose congratulations are in order. You did well in finding him.
Thank you, Chief Snelling. I'm glad we were finally able to work together.
Yes, well, I'm glad you weren't so brash as to confront him without notifying me first. Perhaps there is hope for you yet. Now then, I'll go get the other officers so we can lock down the scene and remove the body. Wait here.
Quite a night, hey, Bill? Bill? Are you there? Bill?
It's good of you to do this, Miles. Do you need some time alone?
If you wouldn't mind.
All right. I'll wait for you over by the sycamores.
So, it's finally over. I have to admit, it's been strange not hearing you all the time anymore. Never in a million years did I think I would actually miss it. But the important thing is you've moved on, and I got what I was looking for. I'm starting up my own private detective agency, you know. Addie and Upton are going to be my partners. It should be interesting, to say the least. Oh, that reminds me. I brought you a little something. It's not much, but I thought you might appreciate it. Thank you for all your help, Bill. I truly would have been lost without it. Goodbye, old friend. I love you.